Well, the first thing I noticed about you is that you were definitely not like any of the other girls I'd had to work with before. You weren't a carbon copy, you weren't a clone of all the other girls that were going about at that time. You were unique.
Well, so were you.
Probably for the best.
Well, no. You were very much an individual. You know, you kind of danced to your own beat, that sort of thing. And it was very interesting because it took a while to get to know you. And I really liked that. Like, I couldn't just say, oh, of course he likes all this stuff. Because, you know, with some people, like, it's like there's a checklist. They like this, you know, and you just know when you meet like a certain type, like that's basically the script that they're following. Like, and it's hard to tell whether or not they even like that stuff. It's basically just, that's who they decided to be because it's easy and they just go with it. And you don't do that. You're basically like, you think things through. You're thoughtful. Yeah, good stuff. So do you want to go on to the next part or? Okay,
well, after several months of this, well, we finally got the arrangements going, and it was less than a month until we had to move back to Britain. Heather made it very clear within the first week of meeting her that she was not on the market for a relationship.
Because I didn't want to lead you on.
No, I know, but she made it very clear, and so I respected that. I did not take anything further. I just kept it low-key and friendly. When it came time to start packing up and leaving, I had to quit the cinema, and I stopped by, and fortunately Heather was on duty, and I came to say goodbye to her like I promised I would, because, well, after several months I really came to like and respect her and have other feelings towards her, and so we were on our own in a corner of the projection booth, which is actually a huge long I-shaped corridor with what, 13 different projectors in it? It was the height
14.
14?
14. You would know better than me, probably. You trained me after all, so I'll defer to you.
A lot of projectors in a big corridor.
Multiple.
And it was summer, and it was hot, and there was an inexplicable ladybug infestation. You know, that they'd be found in like a cluster up in one corner of the projection booth, and you'd see them every so often around. We just sat there talking for a while, and she said she'd miss me, and I said I'd miss her, and I just sort of looked into her eyes and said, I'd never forgive myself if I didn't ask if I could kiss her. And so we did. And it was nice, it was pleasant, it was tender, it was honest and heartfelt. And right at that moment, Chris and Tim walked back in and broke the moment. Yeah,
it was like, the timing was just...
Door crashed open, two managers walk in.
Yeah. And one of them's like his BFF. That's exactly how I remember it too.
Well, I'd left opportunities slip through my fingers many times in the past, but this one just seemed too important to me.
And then he disappeared. You know, like he stayed around for a little bit longer before he took off that night. But then after that night, like I didn't see, and I honestly didn't think I was going to see you again. I honestly thought that was going to be it. Now, by the way, this was in 1999.
It was late 2000.
Late 2000. Okay.
No, sorry, mid 2000.
Because I met you in 1999.
You met me.
Okay, so this was in 2000. So this was a long time ago. Before I turned 20. I know that because like my 20th birthday was literally my last day at Tinseltown. Yeah. Side note, I accidentally threaded, because they used to put 2 movies reels on each projector. Like they had 3 platters with 2 movies usually. And so on one of the movie showings they had Final Destination and Pokemon 2000, and I accidentally threaded Pokemon 2000 for a showing of Final Destination. And it took, here's the kicker, it took 25 minutes of Pika 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 before somebody said, hey, the wrong movie is playing. And Chris was on duty, and that's his best friend. So his best friend came determined look on his face. He's like cutting the movies up and trying to read. Oh, it was kind of hilarious, but I was basically done. I was like, I gotta go somewhere else after this. I will never be able to live down. Pika, pika, pika. They're expecting, and they got cuddly fuzzies instead. That was on my birthday. Anyhow, so he was in England, and I thought I was never gonna see him again. Like seriously, because most of the time when people move that far away, you just never hear from them, right? But you're like a genius at being friends with people.
I try to maintain friendships as long as possible, because if I have something in common with someone and we get along well, why not? You know, I mean, there are magical technologies these days like email and phones.
We're so old.
Anyway, so we kept in touch through email, and you even called me a couple times at the hotel.
Yeah.
We talked for a good long time, and it was good. We had laughs, we had fun.
We stayed in touch pretty well up until around 2002, like late 2002. And part of that was because I had started dating again and had been through some dramatic, crazy crap. One of the issues I was having was that the boyfriend I had at the time, and I've since learned from this mistake, was extremely controlling. Like, he was just not down with me having friends, like, or being around my family, and he was kind of awful in every conceivable fashion. And Nigel came for a visit. When was your visit?
The first one was 2001.
Okay, so 2001, he comes for a visit. When we were saying goodbye, he got a little handsy. Just a little bit. I mean, it wasn't,
I like her.
It honestly wasn't much. It was just like a hug that probably lasted a little too long and some whispered words. Yeah, so that sort of thing. And my boyfriend was in the car and saw that while I was saying goodbye to him. He didn't kiss me or anything. He just hugged me a little bit too long. And it freaked this guy out so bad that he was like, you can't talk to that guy anymore. I stopped emailing him. I mean, I held on as long as I could, like until basically like I said, 2002-ish. And then I basically stopped. I think I maybe even told you that there was some friction involved and that sort of thing. And I basically just stopped emailing him. And I honestly thought that was it. Like, that was the end of that. I was never going to hear from him again. And that was it.